Ariye Park Parnen Yebal Dukan Navorchun Pare, Kinadim Navorchun, Love Navorchun. Yamanagi Satsi Navorchun Avili Chezok Parela, Initially Love Navorchun, Kesh Navorchun, Pari Aramanat Davis. Is Iriguna Gapa Yeregi Yerek Irigun, New Parena. Yabina Dena. शादी फायर हमारी उष्णों हमार और किससे में किशरा ये किससे so ये बात इरिगुल so फारी इरिगुल से प्रॉब्लम दिलिया होसा कुछ यार स्किस फायर में बिदला ये ग्रोथ मासांग के लिए बिदला so जैसे ऐसो चरी अशार बिखार चना बिदला और सांप्लों चिट्टा some checks this week. Unclear etymology asli. Isale sarak some various professional etymologists. Asli I mean hobbies. Hobby higher or siragan isposanti. Maybe chikolo there is hobby siragan isposanti higher. Yes, didrosh degree chunim hamara saran chem katsat asli ki masid. Amen kitazes kirkero in ashkadu chunobe. Ki hiring kirkero antere kirkero. Kama gavur garevor asli edilelu hamar. Daratartuchun par. Daratartuchun ankleren transliteration. İçbez voroş kirer mişt tupochmin yapor meglezuye müşlezu tarla. Zorlar men hayren. Armada hayren masin olsun. Yapor meg diktadısan. Gam dikranısan, ankelerine dön tiyge pokti, tiyatades kılan, tigranes kılan. Yek çıkarı, ceyge pokti. Zoruna Yeremian, ankelere kıla Jeremiah. Yek kılan, ankelere kılan, hayre gıyge pokti. Jerusalem, kılan, yek açpes liye devi. Hayre Jirair Tutunjian, Anune Jirair, Ankleren Cyril, when the popular see, yet the point be the popular, make Palasan the same, Ankleren Sexton Bows, Damascus, Kalilia, Kea, Merkea, Ankleren very the popular. Kalilia, Gilili. So as far as wish to test the week, therefore we had a big mass, wish to test, there is a rule. As an action and check, therefore Tapmami, or anything. I saw one little skis with the person, Uncle Lenny, Iron Parent on the Manachunera, Iron Parent Uncle Lenny image, each of us become Parent higher image, you are program Parent higher image. Got high parallel or Armenian. We have virtual sesi particularly the program parallel masi. As a quick fact, there are 3,000 to 1,000 languages in the world now. The reason there is such a huge disparity between 3 and 10 is because specialists consider some of them dead languages or dialects, not legitimate languages. I think the conservative figure, 3,000, is a safer bet. There are about 400 plus languages in Sub-Sahara. There are about 400 languages in South America. These are spoken by very small groups of people. Ashkari Amena Hit, Lezuneru Dela, Gogas. Gogas, Adarazunai, Hussain Gogas and Chevayastan, is to make ethnic group. Here, because das not lezu. Amena Gamet after Lezunernas. Higher on Nianika. Here, Lezunergan would get pick Sanavo Chica. Ubich Lezunga, Gogas image, to make consonant. Here, pick Sanavo Chica. Here, Bagazin is not possible. Ubich. Աշխարհի մեջ դաստուեցած ալֆաբետ, հայերեն ամուսնուն մեկն է։ Ամեն Եվրոպան կրետնում լատին ալֆաբետը կորացել, ուիներում նգա, սիրիլիկի գամերն, վրացիներում, արաբներում, և վրայցիներում, բարսիկներ ավտական գործած են Հնդկաստանում, Համշույր, Թայլանդ, Իրանում, Ճապոնը, Կորեան, Չայնա, ընդհանուր դաստուեց, դաստուեցը հայերը ամուսնուն մեկն է։ Ասիկա դեսապը բատիվեց։ Ուրիշ մեկ բան ասել, անգլերենը 1 միլիոն հարուստ, ոչ մեկ լեզու այդ չափուց հարուստ է, որտև անգլերենը։ Երկրորդ լեզու գերմաներեն, ռուսերենը միայն 300,000 ունի, գերմաներենը 180,000 ունի, իսկ ֆրանսերենը, որ ջոխ լեզու է, ջանցված լեզու է, միայն 100,000 հարուստ։ Եթե վրայի կրենք, գերմաներեն, ֆրանսերեն, իթալերեն, իսպաներեն, վրա այդ թեր անգլիական լեզուն ավելի շատ բառ ունի, քան թե адамները իրար ունի։ Հարերը գծնի, գմեցնան, գամուստանան, չոջուկ կունենան, գմերնի, եթե յանքի դուկան երբեմն, յանքի դուկան, դարբեր անուն կունենան, դարբերի մաս կունենան, իրեն ծերը դպոխեն և բարերը գջամփորդեն։ Բայց ամենա թիվ մեկ քարակտերիստիկ բարերում ան է, որ բարերը գպոխեն, միշտ գպոխեն, ցեզի գսեմ ինչու բարերը միշտ գպոխեն։ Ինչու մեկ էտիմոլոգի գիսոր դիգամ գետակտների, անորը սպեշալիստ չէ։ Բարձ մեկը։ Հետաքրքրական է, որովհետև քաղաքներ մեջն են, այն մարդ քաղաք մուզեքիտ բարերում քաղաք ուտեղեն ու կամ բարեր։ Քեզի հիստորի ստորվեցին, ջոգրոֆի ստորվեցին, կալչır ստորվեցին են։ Մեկ օրինակ մծծիկան։ Գարելի հետևած եք, որ անցեր գսել հայ պատրադումները խրիական ձակում են և որոշ էվիդենս պաստեր դիպել են, որ պատրադումները Հայաստանին եկած իմիգրանտները Հիմա եթե էտիմոլոգի օրեն հետևի հալատակ սազնելու, դեսնակ, որ աս ստվածը բազմական ուրեն շիդակ չէ։ Հակրատունի բարձկական պար է, որ նշանակի աստծոտ դրյալ, աստված դիվար։ Հակրատունի նշանակի ասադուր, աստվածադուր։ Բաղդակ պարը նաև նշանակի աստվածադուր։ Մանսուր թագավորը, խալիֆան, և որ Բաղդադի ունեց, անուն դրա Բաղդադ բարձկական պարենորեն, սելով ասուձով ընդրած, որ Բաղդադ, որ մարդիկ վերդ է բաղ, մարդեզ գնշնագի, նո, գնշնագի ասադուր։ Եվ որ կիտնակ այսպեսի բարձություն, եթի մասիտնագետա ասե, որ նոր պրակրադուները Հայաստանեն եկած, կտեսնակ, որ շիդակ չէ։ Այսպեսի արագելություններ կան։ Բայց չեմ դեպքանակ հայական պար։ Բաջարը որ չեմ դեր, հավարակ եկեն չկան ասմունքի մասին հայրենը։ Ուրիշ մզդիկ պլամա, ամենաշատ պարը, որ մենք արած ենք, ասկեմը, իրանցիները։ We have taken 1,400 words from Iranians. In the last 400 during the Crusader and after era. And about 65 to 70% of Armenian words are of Armenian origin. Now, you might say, wow, that's all we have. But, 30% are non-Armenian words. But compare it with English, for example. English, you'd be amazed to know this. 65% of English words come from the Mediterranean, from Italy, from France, Roman Empire, Spain. Some come from Greece. There are only 14% of Anglo-Saxon words in English. Right? There is some from the Scandinavian, 5 from other countries, and then about 5 or 6 unknown where they come from. But this rich, famous language is mostly non-English origin. So Armenians are one of the highest percentage of pure Armenian words. I know I sound like a chauvinist, but that's fine with me. Now, we look a while ago, I mentioned that we changed the spelling, the pronunciation of words. I'm trying to ask you something. Yapılmış kısa es ilgun, sezilisi, tarih ilgun. Tarih ilgun isi. Gahacik, o word ilgun gise. Aç seni toplarsatsın. Ama ilgun gise, sapsı toplarsatsın. Yani borç yapmış ilgun gise, borç ilgun gise. So, yani ilgun e. Aç ammen lezu, ammen as, gepolce barzensinler. Par garcetine. Asiga boçti askayı kamene ayrılmakayım. Soboruçunu. Men gepolce biz isim içiler aslada dura yeladı asadu. Yerler çiverce hima egan tweet herayım. Or ammenin hayru karasu karakter olsa. Bet asiga şadon tıskısa. As jigger, as tendency, or higher gadgets, curatsan. Ima uch bajane shadam chupare pohvi, jamanak, distance, corruption, svalas kutsovuchun, chauvinism, mere culture image, North America. Most of new words come from either periphery groups, subcultures, or the advertising community. By periphery groups or subcultures, I mean they come from black people, homosexuals, and advertising. They are the root or the fountain of new words in North America. Okay. Now, I will show you an example of how words changed from country to country. Now, Jamanagi, ia anuno asbazoi mgar papiloni met. Churi asbazoi. Jamanagi tatsi anuno pokretsa everar leu. Everar Meg asbazoi. Jamanagen tatski noren. Anune pokvetsa. Rianer Jensksen sel Johanna. Naib Asiriner salen Johanna. Arapten sanastren Hana. Hanan egar Hayren Olhannes. Unaren Yanni. Italeren Giovanni. Germanatsnerun Hans. Ankeliatsnerun John. Portugal Hoa. Irlanda, Sean. Ian, Scotland. Johan, Scandinavian. Jonas, Hungarian. Janos, Hungarian. Ivan, Czech. Ewan, Gallic. Ewan, Welsh. Jan, all over, Denmark and so on. Poland also. So you can see how here it becomes all this, and all within the same culture. Amnen aso Kristonian. Asigas surpimanune. Surpovanes. Heights, Yergir, Jamanagin Tatski, Nights the Popular. Perneperan, Yergir, Jamanagin Tatski, Surecto, Support. Gamas at Dari Renchunin, Grankush Darmanis. Okay, ima bili discussing community as for one. Das Nervo major language group. Anonsle Mekar, Yan Megada, Indo-European. In the European, Arach Anoner, which we proto in the European, or which we in the European lesson. In the European lesson, Pashavetsa Yelukumbi. Centum, Irsatem. Central Western European lesson is Satema, Hayastani lesson, Iran, Sanskrit, Eastern European lesson. Mr. Sazenkor, as Amen lesson, Polish lesson, Iran, had Hagagan lesson Pamachel. Zaranaitne, Hagagan lesson correct, ուրիշ բրանց չկա։ Այդ արիգա սխալ, որովհետև վերջին 10-15 տարվա ընթացքին գտնվեցավ նոր լեզու, որ հայերեն է հրաչ եկած եւ Հայաստանի մեջ կխոսի։ Եվ լեզուի անունն է Լոմավրեն։ 2004-ին Հայաստանի մեջ մոտ 50 հոգի խոսեին այս լեզուն։ Չեմ թե քանի հոգի մնացել։
50 հոգի։
Զորակ իրենք կսեն 6 դեցին գան իրենց թավնին հարևի պատած են, այդ իրենց ետ մի կարալ ու շողնակներ ավտան։ Ժամանակի ջիպսներ Հայաստանը գնավորեցան և իրականի մեջ մենք իրենց հագրարում, որ գյորովագան են իրենց հետ է։ Իմացելի գիտեցրեմոս Indo-European և Sanskrit տարեր, հայրան տարեր և անկլերն անոց։ Այս պատրելու շատ բեք չկա, որ տեսնակ որ նույն տարերն են, քիչիկ փոփոխությունները և որ նկատիարնեք, որ առաջինը գխոսվեր ասկի 7000 տարի առաջ։ Անչափ չէ փոխել։ Այս Sanskrit Հնդկաստան գխոսեին, աչնատան, հայերն այլանդանի, հայերն հուր, փոց, անկլերն ֆայ, սվան, հյուն, շուն, ֆրանսերն շյան, Admin, Udel, անկլերն իտ, Manu, Martarinan, German, Urus, Pazugni, անկլերն չկա, Anya, I, անկլերն else. Ajnata, Anzanot, Aksh, Arjuna, Arjan, Sama, Amar, Samar, Masa, Amis, once more. This Harya, Hartsagil, Harris, not Mike Harris, Harris. Lip, Lizel, Lip. Dasa, from Kamen, Dam Sanskrit become Indo-European, in a hierarchic dasas. This farmers and the subject Dixie music, come America is out in Dixie. But Jared, Louisiana, Jamaragi France, and he has Tranimura, last dollar in the budget. This. So America still changed their France. They're saying $6. Dixie music. Dixie. So that's it. New E9, top 2 to 8. Pancha. Yes. King was Kakadi Bahadur. King of Pancha is Bahadur. Penta. King. Pentagon, Lord, Quattuor, Katva, Chorstick, Quattuor, Duo, Trias, as higher Chumikam, is Chumikam. Loren Hostella, higher, our Bahadur, it will major. Horse higher, horse, senior re-major. Matan, right knee, brother, right knee. Dugitari Mertustada, daughter, Suasa, sister, Iron Jim, Sunu, like son, Sanu, uncle, son, gave Sunatatsner on the pardon, Sunuta, outer Odar, Tara or Vikish Project, Odar there, the uncle and other, you have by new pardon. Elgas gat arel. Imus gam im, am kedenantis hagarak mi mal. Ma mene. Siga e common aim is mantra meet my mother, mère, ici qui garage pour rien Vid, Krishna observe foresee Veda. Iron, vid, kid, wit, and wit, video, vision, vista, American parallel. Edo, Genu, well, Zoom, Yevni, as notorious swastika. Iron, paraplastige. It is not good. But stick. Naman, Anun, now, Navy, it is not coming. This was still which is very voted this now. But it's part of the voted foot. I. Who? Learn about people. Saati, still, sit. Greedy, as you got prince. In Sakhalas, prince, price. It's a melon, mild. Jatu, Zambe. Zit, gum. New parliament. Hat, make hat. That, new parliament. Sa, make a sa the same. Come the same. Ice, this. Two, down. Akaru, Shatmonche, ice, and says as I'm doing nothing but my boulder. That way I'm about to do nothing. Ima, Angyu Pari Masi with the host. Angyu is just Kidek, Ankarona, and Gilek. Green part, Angyu, and Germania, he says Aremutka, Nahakuga, Go, Seva, Yaram University, Gora is Zoraro Angulero. So, one Abronero is saying the people of the anger, and at Angulera, is Saxon level, is Trats nearly. That's a Taro, Uncle Young and Gregory. He wears angle. Angle, English, Angleland, England. So England, Ganeshanagi, Anguni, Nimpa. Ab, Kedar, Armenian. As the statue of the Sendur, Arab Telega Kurdozen, Aru, with the snark. Asum Karasum Parnarnia is hostel Harrimas, Tish himself. My Professor Hassan Chemuzagon Pastel, Pastins, Marat Shadels. That illustrate for an actor down. As the shadow comes in, any batuchinary pattern, the Zawasuchi uncle alone with Batmuches. Now, Parmega Anunan Q, KEU. Well, now we could read this week Kel, and Ungera Killer. As parallel academic name, it is not called Kiretic Parallel. Ko ye gashi numpana. I suppose we had a little. Ye many kobana the Bahai sort. Uran koba bahove. Kiretskutuna to Senate. Nursing the Bahai. Coin basic. Gashi Nermorte, Leblain, Need Order, Carnaval. So, Leslie Nicely, Armado, the distance will call, if it's not Q, Keretic New Parenguta, Q, Co, or a new Parenguta. There are some doctors. Azarava Dahera. Much as it is Polish, the Glora, Iron Glora, and Odicolon are the same word. Alright, this is the way it goes. The origin of Glor is Quell. Quell means to move around and to settle. Okay? To settle down, usually a round place, round settlement. The Latins, the Romans, took the word and called it Coller, meaning inhabited these glowing places. Coller became Colonus. Colonus became colony. And the Romans founded a city in Germany. They called it Cologne, which exists. When the French Napoleon's armies invaded Germany, they went to Cologne and they discovered that there were no streets, no street names. Nobody could find his way around. So they made a map, they gave a name, and so on. And there was a factory which made Cologne. And that factory's number was 11. You know the number. So the address of that factory became the name of the Cologne, which means in French, the water of Cologne. So it took 2,000 words, 3,000 years for Glor to become Odicon. Another interesting, close to Gero in Glor, is the word Gero, which means sleep. In Armenian, it has turned, Gero has turned to Ser, meaning love. So Armenians associated long time ago sleeping with lovemaking. It's the same way. So when you said, I'm going to go to sleep, it had another name. So the origin is Gero, which means to sleep. Now, Quran comes the word deep thinking. Qulub. It means you go inside, deep inside yourself, and you think. That's why our altar is called the Quran. That's why we say Khorud Khorim, because Khorud Khorim is where God is in the altar, because God is the deepest thinker. So Khorud Khorim is God. Okay? And Khor Birab, all these words are all related. We have given the word guides to the Germans. Zeitgeist, you've heard the word Zeitgeist, means the spirit of the times. The spirit is Geist, which comes from the Armenian Geist. We have taken the word Galant from the Greeks. It means Galantal, which means the end of the month, later becomes end of the year. Now the word Unger is interesting. Unger is somebody who you eat. Unger. To eat with him. It's the same word in English. Companion. Pain. French for bread. Right? Companion. Someone who eat bread. And Armenian is the same. Unger. By the way, Khod, grass, in Armenian meant both poison and medicine. The reason is obvious. You know, they got their medicine from nature, and it poison or it could be medicine. So poison and medicine were called hod, same way. But that, will change. Then Karabar and Garabar are the same word. One sounds fancy, but they are the same word, and it comes from Greek. If harvest and harvest are the same word. It started as harvest, and it got fancy, and they added harvest, but it's the same word. During the Crusades, we borrowed a bunch of words from Europeans, like baron, for example, and dukes, which we call dukes, and sir, which nobody knows now. We used to call it gir in the Cilician kingdom. Sir became gir. And Marshal. Now, Marshal is a very fancy word, but you'll be surprised to know that Marshal means the servant of the horses. Mare is a female horse, right? So Marshal means the servant of the horse. That's how it started. Now a Marshal can command huge armies, this and that. And then Constable, which we also got from the Crusaders. Constable means the head of the stable. That is, he's in charge of the horses too. You see the constable? Stable. Ahori Badashanat in one of them. Ուրիշ բառը արենք գոց Չեմ շատ փոխեցինք, բայց counter commerce-ը հետո completely գործունեություն նույն բանը պատահեցավ գաբարի հիմա մենք գաբարը սեֆն է we mean lead right բայց գաբարը սեֆն է ամենամոտիկ բառը ինչ է կապը բայց կապը բրինց է so ինչ է ամոնդեղը ով շվարեցավ բրինցը գաբարի հետը չում է գաբարը lead է ուրիշներում գաբարը կապը by the way կապը որովհետև Գիբրոս են առաջին անգամ տեսան Գիբրոսի մեջ Cyprus Rogansner Guinera, so it's in the middle of Cyprus cover. Now I'm going to tell you a couple of Persian words in Armenian. As I said, they are the biggest contributor. Navasa, which is our first month, the first of the year, is a Persian word. It comes from Nor, Dari. Nav means Nor, Sart means ear. By the way, at that time, Armenian New Year started August 11th and ended festivities September 9th. Kirat means tree in Persian. Now, there was a Persian king or emperor, his name was Tarek, and he coined a new coin and he was occupying Armenia. So Armenians called his money Tarek Agan, Tarek Drama. That, as I said, got shortened, it became Tahegan. So we say Tahegan. Bardes, we say Bardes. It comes from Pardesa, the same word as paradise. Because Middle East is mostly desert. For people in that area, the idea of paradise always meant greenery. Okay? The same thing for Eden. Okay? You say paradise means a place of greenery, water, and so on. Yes, that the religion started in the jungle. They would have a different temperature. Marzban, we got it from the Persians. You get them? Oh, Ramanada. In Persian is Ramada. Okay? Now, when we say we took only 1,400 words, it's slightly misleading because from those 1,400 words, we have made up lots of other words. Take, for example, I said Ramanada. You can come up with all kinds of words from Ramanada. Okay? So actually, they have given us more. We've taken bits and pieces from their language, mix them together, make them with Armenian words and so on, and come up with new ones. Again, Nahabet, another well-known Arabic word, Armenian word. It comes from Nahbadi, which means Tsegabet, same thing. And the word Tabir. Tabir originally means scribe. Very valuable. From that came the word Tibros. Tabir. You'd be surprised to hear that Baskuragan, our famous Baskuragan name, is not Armenian. It's Persian. It means Aznavagan Yergir, noble land, noble country. Ispahabed, Hazarabed, Hazar, Badishkan, Tazir, Avan, they are all Iranian words. In addition, they have given us lots of words, prefixes and suffixes, which we have multiplied into all kinds of words. For example, Tish, like when we say Tishvat, the Tish comes from them. And from that, we have come up with other words. Abastan, Han, Antar, Ankistabe, you just come up with all the words you want. Start with Han. Antez, Shekh, Ashkar, Ishkhel, Khid, Dakhtar, and so on. There are about 20 of these words, tiny words, which we have adopted and come up with new words for them. Now, we have taken the following words from Arabic for sure. Nishan, which is Nishan. Shuga is soup. Hanut is actually Assyrian, although Arabs also say, they say Hanut. Zon is Sum in Arabic. Adam, Himar is Hamir. Kivan is actually Persian, but again, Arabs also say it. Santuk, Ajbara, Hikayat, Hikayat Arab. Kohar is Jahwar. Sebel, Ashkenaz. Arablarına Hisab. Arabiyyan, Hayastani Jolumut, hangisi? Arabların Cazare, yani Kazar desen. Մենք արևմտյան հայերը այդ չենք կոզել։ Հետո քաղաք բառը, քյուղ բառը արաբերեն եմ Ոստիգան, Ուստիգան, which means warden. Ոստիգան, Ustigan. As you know, that era when they were ruling Armenia was the rule of the Vostigans. Gin, not a drink. The guy who comes out of the bottom. Takun, you'd be surprised, like Takun, Bahbadad's hidden. It's Takaya, Arabic. Compared is combined. Kunt. Kunt Mazingorne is Jundi. Suriga. Suriga कैसे? Arapirano. Hiç kısmen olarak belki de Sarra. Arapirano का Suriga. Farash. In the old days, the lowest soldier in the Arab army was called Farash. He was like a gopher. Good for now. So he was called Farash. Garbage. So Armenians took that word. We use Farash to pick up garbage. Halwa is halawa. And you'd be surprised to hear the Armenian word seta comes from Arabic Sayyida, which means mistress, lady. Now, we might have taken more Arab words, I'm not sure. I know that Abbas, one of our kings, it's Abbas, Abbas. But there are two more words, I'm not sure. Hetum sounds suspiciously like an Arab name, Hatim. In fact, I have no proof, it's just my ear playing trick with me. Now I'm going to give you the most exciting and the shortest part of this presentation. Armenian words in English. Okay, before that, let me keep my word. Let me keep my word. In the announcement, the notice said that I was going to tell you the meaning of certain words you saw in AGBU announcement, and then you saw it in the Jirair. Here we go. I said that Lebanon and Kenya mean the same. Now, if you live in Palestine or so-called Israel, and you're looking north, and you look at the mountains of the north, Lebanon, you see white mountains, and they called it Lebanon, which in Hebrew means white mountains. From that came the name of Lebanon. Kenya means also the same thing, white mountain. Just like Alps. Alp means white, like albino. Albania means white. Another name for England is Albion. The reason being, if you came from France, the first thing you'd see in England are the white cliffs of Dover. So Albion, the white country. Okay? Now, why are Mussolini and Saddam our dear friends? Why are they close? Now, Arabs gave many fabrics to the world. For example, gauze, for bandages, comes from Gaza. Muslin comes from Mosul. Now, Mussolini's ancestors were in the muslin trade. They imported muslin from Middle East to Italy. That's why they were called Mussolini. Mussolini comes from muslin from Mosul. And I think Saddam had some relations with it. That's it. Now, Toronto, means meeting place. Canberra means the same thing. But Friday in Arabic means Jum'ah. Jum'ah is Jamia, get together. Places where you meet together, right? So it's the same as Toronto. Now, the Armenian word Urpat is actually of Assyrian origin. It means to prepare. In Assyrian, to prepare for Saturday, the day of rest. Urpat. Now, the rest of the week, Monday, here, they're by numbers. Now, why is Sunday called Giragi? Where did Giragi come from? In the olden days, it wasn't Giragi. It was Mia Shabbat. Mi Shabbat. It was me. Then, I don't know why, they decided to adopt the word from Greeks, Kyriakos, which means God, God's day. Giragi is Kyriakos. Okay? Kiri. This is common. You see the French, Domingo, the Spanish say, means God, right? God's day. The other ones, but Hebrew, Arabic, Aramaic, Phoenician words for God coming from Armenian. This is controversial, but here we go. At the risk of sounding again chauvinist, what's the word in Armenian for to get up, to go higher? What's the shorter version of that? Verily. Aniga, that is the name of God. Elohim, Allah. Because they're all about going up to the sky, up to heaven, up to God. Now, I will read to you something from the Times Literary Supplement about the origin of the word wine. Okay, it says, Herodotus tells us of shipping wine from Armenia to Babylon downriver in huge skin boats. Then it goes on. The first Armenian form was a prehistoric Woyn, W-O-Y-N, which became classical Armenian Guinea. Following regular sound laws, a form later borrowed into Georgian as Giveni and into early Greek as Buenos, and from there into Latin Vinum. It kept moving, it became eventually Van. Right? Now, when the Romans founded a city in Austria, where they saw that they could plant vine and the soil was fertile and was perfect for wine, they called the city, what they call it?
Vienna.
No.
Vienna.
Bono Vigna, good wine. And Vigna became Vienna. And where did Vin come from? From Kini. You can see Kini in wine. It's the same word, right? So, do you believe me now that Vienna comes from Armenia? Now, there are about, as I said, 1 million words in English, but you can carry a conversation with 800 words. Most people use about 2,000 words. That's about it. Shakespeare used 21,000 words. The whole Bible, best translation, uses 6,000 words. So imagine, if you can get away with 800, but you got 1 million supply, you're in a good place. Now I'm going to tell you, what's the time? Salvi, where are you? How much time do we have?
She went with the
Oh, okay. All right, I'm going to tell you more interesting stories. Very quickly, some Arabic words in English. Magazine, Mahaza. Arsenal comes from Al-Sana'a. Saracen, which meant Arabs during Crusader time. Saracen comes from Sharqiyyin. Of course, Europeans couldn't say Sharqiyyin, they said Saracen. Adobe. Adobe, which now is a program, I think, on computer. It used to be Tub in the pharaonic times. When Arabs conquered Egypt, they called it At-Tub. They took it to Spain. Became brick, meaning brick. Tub. The Spaniards took it to Mexico and southeastern, Western America, and it became Adobe. It meant Adobe hut or little house, and now you see it on computer. And it all started in some pharaoh's time. Actually, there are at least 150 Arabic names of stars, the most prominent ones. My cousin is here, Harut Kavejan, whose hobby is astronomy, and he tells me there are far more, hundreds and hundreds of stars named by the Arabs. Names like Mizan, which means measure, Ragel, which means leg, Dirb means bear, and my favorite, Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse means actually Arabic is Betelgeuse, means house of the twins, because right on top of it are that's the twins. Now, I like Betelgeuse because I have twin boys. So our house is Betelgeuse. It's Betelgeuse. Almanac, it used to be called Almanach. It was about the weather, the climate, and it started adding other information and became Almanac. Balsam, Macabre, scary. It means Maqbara, graveyard. Average comes from Uwar. Cotton is cotton. Sash, as I said, there are lots of fabrics of Arab origin. Sash, gauze, muslin. Chiffon is shaffaf, because chiffon is transparent. Shaffaf means you can see through it. Mohair is Mukhayyir. It means the best of the goat's hair. Mukhayyir became Mohair. Kamiso. All right. Massage. Masaha. It means to rub. Mattress came from matra. Another word related to dressing. Sequin. Sequin, very fashionable, evening out sort of thing. Arabs in the Middle Ages, their women used to wear lots of coins, little coins, as decoration, which were called seka. Europeans picked up the habit and they made it even smaller, and the seka became sequin. The blouse comes from an Egyptian city called Pelusium in the Greek period, so I think of that. Things like caraway, sesame seeds, alfalfa, syrup, carob, cumin, liqueur, caramel, sherbet, tuna, or even the word gizmo. You know what is gizmo? Gizmo is the latest or the most recent Arabic word in English. No, not gizmo. Gizmo, like it's anything which has no name. In North America, what's that gizmo they say? Huh? In the Second World War, when Americans were in North Africa, doing trades, buying stuff from the locals, they learned the word shuismo. What's the name? Shuismo became gizmo. Something that we don't know the name. Then ishub, the women, the ishub, that's also Arabic. Monsoon is Arabic. Black comes from abla. Zero, zenith, native. Drubbing, drubbing to somebody beats somebody, drubbing. It comes from taraba, Arabic taraba. There is another interesting word, mudajjar. Some of you might have eaten, sampled mudajjara. Now, mudajjara, in our case, it means rice with lentil. Now, the word comes from Spain, Arabic Spain. They used to call Arabs who had become Christian or Spaniards who had become Muslim, mudajjar, black and white. Just like mudajjara is black and white. Okay? They also call it moresco and cristiano for that dish. They also call it Romeo and Juliet. But the origin of mudajjara is, are there Lebanese Armenians here?
Yes.
Right? I'm sure you have sampled jallab. Well, when you go to New Orleans, the thing to do there is to have mint julep. It's jallab. Comes from Arabic. Now, you'll be surprised to know that Henry Fonda's son, Peter Fonda, his name means in Arabic stone house. Fonda is fundo, which means hotel in house. Fonda comes from Arabic fundo. Spaniards use it also. So Peter in Latin means stone, as you know. So Peter Fonda, Henry Fonda's son, is a stone hotel. The scallion comes from Eshkalan, which nowadays is Israel. Again, you'll be surprised to know that soda is an Arabic word. Soda, you drink it and it goes away. And of course, arak means to perspire. Because when arak is being made, it goes to the alembic, it's perspired. It's the perspiration which becomes the arak. Another thing which is important, a lot of these words, there are arguments about them. There are specialists which argue about origins from now until kingdom come. There are various variations as to origin. For example, Damascus, the origin of the word Damascus, has 6 variations, 6 explanations. That's an exaggerated example, but that's true. There are lots of these stories. There is somebody who challenges it. because it is not an exact science. Etymology is not an exact science. Would you believe that the Italian ciao, which is hello and goodbye and all-purpose greeting, and Slavs are the same way, ciao and Slavs. This is how they are linked. When the Romans conquered Eastern Europe, particularly Romania, they made them into slaves, and they called them Slavs. And all the people of Eastern Europe came to be known as Slavs, meaning slave. Now, in Latin, the word for Slav slave is schiavo. And in Rome, polite greeting. You met somebody, you would say, I'm your slave. Or schiavo. In the course of time, this schiavo, as I said, got simplified into ciao. So ciao and Russians are cousins. Then Yemen means what in Arabic? What side, left or right? Right. Yeah, because it's the right-hand side of Mecca. And Sham is north and left side of Mecca. That's why Syria is called Shams. Sham in Arabic. We don't call it Sham. There was this city in China called Guangzhou. And Arab merchants used to bring a fabric from Guangzhou to the Middle East and sell it to Europe. From China to the Middle East, Guangzhou became Zaytun. Then Zaytun went to Spain, from there to France, and Zaytun became satin fabric. Okay? Started all the way in China. Now, you've heard in the recent Afghan war the word Kandahar a zillion times. Well, Kandahar is Iskandar. Alexander the Great built that city. He built 16 settlements in Afghanistan. All have disappeared, except this city. But in the process, Iskandar has become Kandahar. Just like Alexander. Now, in French, I think they call caoutchouc to rubber. Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, we used to call it caoutchouc also. But caoutchouc, which originated in Brazil, and as you know, it's a resin. The locals called it caoutchouc, and caoutchouc means tears of the tree, dropped from the tree. Another story, Tsar Nicholas II, who was the grandson of Victoria, Queen Victoria, was visiting London, and they took him to a play. And in the play there was a character, sort of rascal, whose name was Hooligan, Irish. Of course, English always picking on the Irish. The character, rascal, was called Hooligan. But when Nicholas went home, he had lots of troubles at home. And all these rebellions and people opposing him, it's all those hooligans. The Russians picked up the word hooligan. The word came from Russia back to England as a new meaning rascal, thief, whatever. But hooligan is an innocent Irish name, which Nicholas II had. Now, you heard the city Luxor in southern Egypt. It sounds very European, Luxor, deluxe or something, especially since the kings are buried there and all that. But this is how it is printed. The Arabs had no castles, forts and so on. They were desert people. For the first time they saw castles when the Crusaders started building them in the Middle East. Castello, castle. Arabs called it Qasr. Now, when they went down to southern Egypt and they saw these ruins, they called them Qusur, meaning castles. Qusur, which Europeans couldn't pronounce in the 19th century, made it into Luxor. So, there is a longer story. It is said that the reason Julius Caesar's family is called Caesar is because in the Phoenician language, Caesar means elephant killer, because the Carthaginians were fighting the Romans. So one of Julius Caesar's ancestors had killed an elephant. So the name stuck, he was called Caesar. And Caesar became Kaiser, became Tsar, okay? Now there's Kaiser roll. So when you eat Kaiser rolls, perhaps there is some element of elephant. You know the story of croissant? Most people know croissant story? Yeah. Well, the Turks had besieged Vienna, and they were threatening, and of course they had their crescent flags. So the bakers of Vienna, to show their contempt to the Turks, they made these cookies in the shape of crescent. And their women would walk, they would parade over the battlements of the city, eating the cookies, showing the Turks, we're going to eat you alive. We're not afraid of you. And crescent in French is croissant. So it started in the Armenian Vienna, the croissant. Now, I will move into some adult territory. Now, in Roman times, the greatest oath was to say, I swear it on my testes. Okay? There was nothing higher than that. So when you went to court, you say, just like people put their hand on the Bible, they used to say, I swear it on my testes, my man. Okay? So from that came the word testament, which is like Old Testament, New Testament. I don't think religious people are gonna like this, but that's what it is. Now, a lot of these things, flying, you might call them trivial things to know. I don't consider them trivial, of course, but I will tell you where trivial comes from. Again, in Roman times, like any city, streets would sort of converge on a square. So people who were idlers, who had nothing to do, bums, whatever, they would sit at that circle and gossip, talk about unimportant things. That was the place where different streets came together. 3 via, 3 roads converging. So people who sat there and just shot, the breeze, whatever, they were talking trivial, unimportant things. Okay. Ancient Egypt, there was a god called Ammon, who was also known as Amen. Pilgrims would come to the temple of Ammon with their camels, horses, mules, and so on. And of course, they needed to relieve themselves. There was an area where they would relieve. Of course, that liquid, the urine, accumulated. All the horses, the camels, human beings. There was like puddles of the stuff, the yellow goat. People used to collect them, certain people, and use them to bleach. And it had a certain name to it. And later they found a mine which had the same kind of characteristics, smells. They called that liquid ammonium after Ammon, the god. And then the chemical came to be known as ammonium chloride.
First of all, we all thank Mr. Tutunjian for his, how shall I say, very informative. Instead of the conventional lectures with we talk about this and so on. Most of it we already know what the speaker is going to talk about. So this was a bit different. And hopefully AGBU and other organizations will put on some programs which really will mingle a bit of entertainment with information and socializing. Thank you all.